Atlus and Sega make pretty good games, but if you buy them on day one, there's a chance you're gonna end up looking like a goon, and if you give me a wee bit, I'll tell you why. Alright, so despite the fact that I already played Persona 5 twice, I still bought Royal on the Switch just because I was the guy who obnoxiously made like 79 videos about how it was gonna happen, and I never even played that version, but I mean, I knew I wouldn't. Just kinda felt like I had to buy it. Fast forward less than a month later though, and boom, that game was on sale for half price. Granted, this was a Black Friday sale, but it still made me feel like an idiot, and it wasn't even long before the game was permanently marked down to $20 anyway. As annoying as it was, I just kind of moved on with my life, but then I eventually bought Sonic Superstars, which is a pretty good 2D Sonic game for anyone who cares. But then sure enough, like 10 weeks go by, and what do I see at Best Buy while I'm trying to pick my wife Chili's vibrating massage stick up from repair? Sonic friggin' Superstars for $20 laughing right in my face along with everybody else in the store, including Gunther from the Geek Squad, who my wife swears is just her friend. But I like collecting for certain platforms, but never anything modern, and I'm not gonna explain why now, because then I'll just ramble on for another 10 minutes, but I already made a video about that you can but probably won't check out. The point is, since I don't collect modern games, I typically like to buy them, finish them, preferably sooner than later, and then sell them online and get like 70% of my money back. However, God forbid I don't drop everything in my life to finish Sonic Superstars right away, and now it's 20 bucks. Granted, the $20 sale was only a limited time thing, and it's already back up to 30 at the time of this recording, but we all know it's not gonna be very long before that game's 20 again. To be fair, I did buy my copy of Sonic Superstars in Japan when the exchange rate was the best it's been for Americans since like 1984, so I think I only paid like $38 after everything was all said and done. But I mean, still, it's the friggin' principle of the matter, and even though I bought Sonic Superstars in Japan, at the end of the day, I'm still a real American, and I'd like to think that I fight for the rights of every man. I'm like, yeah, I know some of you thinking, Sonic Superstars is just a 10-hour 2D platformer, it shouldn't take you months to finish it, but like, frig off! The game came out the same day as Mario Wonder, so Sega should be eternally grateful to anyone who picked a copy of that game up early, not give us the finger and slash the price right after. I mean, I really do like Sonic Superstars, but playing it right after Mario Wonder's rough. I had to finish another game before getting back into Superstars, and you know what? Playing something else really did help me enjoy and appreciate Superstars way more. You know what ruined that? Well, yeah, you already get it, the price cut. You're watching the video, you know what I'm talking about. And I know you might be thinking this is probably just Amazon going into business for itself with Best Buy and Target simply matching the price. But this type of thing always seems to happen with Sega games in particular. And if you don't believe me, then the same $20 price cut happened with Persona 5 Tactica on the same day. Normally I buy Persona games immediately, given that it's probably my favorite franchise right now, but I was also still in Japan when this came out, and for whatever reason, Japanese copies of Atlus games aren't usually playable in English on American consoles like pretty much every other region-free game is. I wasn't 100% that Persona 5 Tactica wouldn't be an exception to this rule, but a lot of RPGs in Japan cost way more anyway for whatever reason, and with this being on Game Pass, I just kinda said frig it. And thank the almighty Lord Stan that I did too, because like I said, this game was also marked down to 20 bucks. Not only did I feel like I dodged a bullet, but I also learned a valuable lesson. Never buy Sega games on day one. Well, I guess if there's like a really cool limited edition or something that I can understand. I mean, Persona Q2 was marked down to $20 seriously like 2 weeks after it came out on the 3DS, but even though I got it day one, I didn't really care, because I still got a box full of neat little junk that's worth way more now, even though I already opened it. And even then, I could at least half understand the price cut, because I was only like 1 out of 8 or 9 people who actually bought this game, given that it was literally the last retail 3DS game. And I mean, Atlus didn't even bother dubbing it into English, so even they didn't think it was gonna sell. Although I sort of feel like half-assed and it was kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy, since they're just gonna port it someday anyway, so they might as well have just dubbed it back then, but I should probably stop myself before I go into a full-blown tangent on Persona Q2. I'm sure some guy named Todd or something's gonna try to argue that companies cut their game prices so fast just to screw the used games market over, since, after all, selling used games does hurt the developers who actually made them. Seeing as how Sega already proved they're capable of self-fulfilling prophecies by half-assing the international release of Persona Q2, I kinda just think they're shooting themselves in the foot by devaluing their own games so fast. I mean, Capcom's pretty trigger-happy when it comes to price drops too, but they usually at least wait like a year more often than not. Then again, I'm sure Microsoft's probably paying Atlus assloads of money to have their games on Game Pass, because I mean, the number would have to at least be comparable to what they'd expect to sell physically. Although most JRPG fans probably don't even own an Xbox in the first place anyway. A lot of people duke all over Nintendo for almost never doing price cuts, but at the risk of sounding like a fan man, I'd still honestly prefer that over my games losing like 66% of their value right after I buy them. If you buy a Nintendo game that's already been out for like a year or two, you don't gotta worry about feeling like a turkey seeing it get a price drop right after. You don't have to rush to finish them, you can just take your time and get around to it whenever you feel like. And you want to talk about battling resellers? Well, believe it or not, a Wii U port from 2014, Mario Kart 8, was still in the top 20 chart for 2023, and at the time of this recording, it's going for $40 used on eBay. Which just goes to show that if you play your cards right, you don't have to crash your own game's value within 3 months. And these are only the Sega games that I personally noticed. I mean, I didn't go over the release schedules and chart prices over time to find more examples, because I didn't need to. Pretty much everybody remembers Sega started doing this ever since they stopped making consoles. So unless there's a day one incentive, or if it's a game you really want to play, then sure, buy a Sega game on day one, but just keep in mind that there's a pretty good chance that it's gonna be way cheaper if you wait like 3 months. But just keep in mind that there's a pretty good chance that it's gonna be way cheaper if you wait like 3 months. So if you're already playing other games, or hell, even binging shows or doing real life stuff, then maybe you might want to at least consider putting some new Sega games on the back burner for a month or two and save a good chunk of change. Anyway, that's all for today, but if you got a kick out of me ripping on Sega and Atlus, then you should check out the video where I paid Chris Hansen to talk about the Persona 3 portable female protagonist hitting on a 10-year-old, but you'll excuse me though, I gotta go see why Gunther keeps ringing my doorbell. Later. Gunther, what are you doing here at this hour? My wife's in the shower right now. You can't. Excuse me, I didn't invite you in. He always does that. What is going on here?